Town Band Banter with Doc and Dave. Every week, two longtime friends and colleagues in the world of music, David Price and Donald Doc Smith, get together to discuss the triumphs as well as the twists and turns of lifelong learning for the dedicated members of thousands of civilian community music ensembles of every shape and size. Your comments and suggestions are always welcomed through email as info@townbandbanter.com, Facebook, Town Band Banter, and Instagram, #TownBandBanter. And now for our hosts, Doc and Dave.
All right, Dave, here we go. Episode 10, Season 2, which means that it is our 20th episode.
Now, can you do that in, what is it, episode 10? It's just an X, I think.
Well, yeah.
Episode X.
X marks the spot.
Yeah,
right.
right.
That's right. And we're here today visiting with folks in Pennsylvania, my old home state. And actually, we were just going through the town that Dr. Keith Richardson teaches in. We have the same address as I had for 1 year along my life in Hummelstown, Pennsylvania, right next to Hershey, and which is right near Harrisburg. For folks that don't know Pennsylvania very well, we don't have to do that in Rhode Island. It's just a little dot in the map. No one would, there's no distinguishing between different things. But so let me introduce, getting to know you today, Dr. Richardson, and we'll just go by Keith and Don, and, like informal. But Roger, I've known for a while. I played some gigs with him, marching in a parade, what was that? The party band.
Yeah.
It was a crazy kind of, a great kind of band. And then, which is just like 5 or 6 people wailing away to loudspeakers, interacting with the crowd. We could actually go right out into the crowd. And some of us had mics, some of us didn't. And we were all in costume. I typically was SpongeBob, SquarePants. You were always.
I'm really glad you're sharing this with me.
You were a Boston Red Sox, right?
Yeah.
Were you always the Boston Red Sox?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Do you still have that costume? I'd love to see it on you.
No.
Really?
Yeah,
What the hell?
And I didn't even really know I had never watched SpongeBob either, but it was just a silly kind of band, and it got hired for every parade because people had a great time with it. Because you interact with the crowd, the other bands just march by, and
it was more fun for the participants.
Yeah,
we had more fun in that parade because we could go and goof on the crowd, have a great time, play some good music. The way he had that arranged was fantastic.
Oh yeah, it was.
And the paid, that was the best part.
But that wasn't a community band. That was a professional band, even though it was a really fun professional band.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So Roger, what do you I don't think I know a lot about how you started out, though. I've known you for a long time and helped you move to Hershey, but how did you get started? And then we'll do Dr. Richardson.
What, in music?
In music, yeah.
Oh, high school. Yeah, high school. I was in the high school band in Rhode Island.
Okay.
Hendricken.
Okay.
In my senior year, we were lucky enough to be chosen to represent the state in the inaugural parade for Lyndon Johnson.
Wow.
Which was a grand time. That was wonderful.
A while ago. Yeah.
Then I hooked up with a band, moved to Florida for about 3 years. I was playing the nightclubs down there until Nixon put the freeze on, and the nightclubs fired all the bands they were putting in jukeboxes. They didn't want to pay them.
Yeah.
So I moved back to Rhode Island, and I got into the car business for quite a while. I was working at dealerships and I took about 25 years off. Well, by that time I was married. I had 2 little girls who were in high school, and they played instruments. And I said, gee, it'd be nice if I play with them and we could do Christmas carols for my wife.
Oh,
so I took the trumpet out of the case. I cleaned the mold out of it and brushed the dust off. And I practiced.
Oh, so much for the sound.
got some lift back. And we did that, and I found I couldn't put it back down again.
Wow.
So I've been playing ever since.
But kind of like a thread that we have right through all the episodes we've done, a lot of people in community bands are people who put it down for a while and then come back.
Right.
There's a lot of folks like that, and it serves that need very well. So then we met in the Jamestown Community Band.
Right.
I forget how I roped you into doing that.
We had met with the party band and with his other band, the marching band. Our paths kept crossing.
Right, exactly.
And then we met again Yeah, and you were in real estate, plus you
Right?
were the director of the Jamestown band. So I had to sell my house. I was going to
Yep.
move out here. My wife had passed, and my
Uh-huh.
daughter was going to help me out. And
No, I'm
right
glad I
now,
was able to help you through that, Roger. That was a tough
I
move.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
why I
out
got into real
here,
estate, not to make money because that's not happening, but it's like, to
right,
help folks through
Right.
transitions,
right.
and you're
And
a case study in that. Yeah.
through the band, I met Doc Richardson,
Right.
who he's a doctor. He plays the same trumpet as you. It's a
Oh,
Strad
wow.
37.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
same thing, you
How
know?
about that?
And we have a grand time. The band is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
Good.
Good.
that's about it.
All
True
right,
story.
Keith, give us your thumbnail sketch. I'm interested in hearing all about this.
I grew up around here on the other side of the river at high school. Played trumpet there. Came to this side of the river, which is a big landmark, central Pennsylvania.
Right.
Came to the other
Which
side of the river to Lebanon Valley
which
College
district?
for
Yeah, which
Cumberland
district?
Valley.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Went to Cumberland Valley for high school. Came across the river to Lebanon Valley for undergrad, where I got degrees in music ed and trumpet
Right.
performance. Then I was lucky enough to get a job right out of college as a high school band director, where I
Yeah.
proceeded to learn a lot.
Oh no, that's when the
And
learning begins.
Yeah, really, yeah.
yeah,
Tell me
sure.
about
Well, it's a big job for anybody, and
Yeah.
right out of college, it was a lot. And that particular situation was a lot, and that was down in the York area. And I worked there for 3 or 4 years, and then got the high school band job where I student taught up here at Central Dauphin East High School. Yeah, which is super insightful because that happened to be where I student taught. So I
Right.
took over for the guy I student taught with, was pretty familiar with that program. I
Yeah.
was there for about 7 years. While I was there, I got my master's in music ed at Duquesne, and
Right.
then proceeded to get the job I'm at now, which is the high school band director at Lower Dauphin.
Right.
And they were nice enough to help me out get my doctorate in music ed at Boston University.
Wow.
And that
Yeah,
that
that's
just
cool.
happened a couple years ago. Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. What was your topic? Or was it a DMA, or what kind of doctorate is it?
Well, so fun fact, it was a DMA, but I did have to write a dissertation. So the best
Oh
of both
no.
worlds. Yeah. So, which was fine. They had a great program for that, and were really actually interested in having people finish. So, but my topic was where band directors learn leadership and how
Yeah.
they help their students learn leadership. And short version of the book is most band directors don't get any formal training in leadership.
No.
It
Isn't
is
that amazing?
yeah, at best, you've got some experiences you can draw on and whatever. But and that's the other part of that is kids are generally really willing to help. A lot of your band kids love band, and they're willing to help make it better, great, easier for everybody.
Right.
And if as a band director you aren't helping them do that, you should.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, so we were last of the apprenticed kind of things. It seems like
Right.
if you take a course in that, you learn that form of leadership. But you had a broad perspective. You were in a lot of different situations. 3 different colleges, and yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
no, it was a small school, and then yeah, Duquesne was a much more urban. Well, and that was a summers only master's program. So I'd go out for a week, take a class, or out for
right.
2, take a class, and then over I think it was 4 summers. You gradually accrue all of your coursework, and then you had to do a thesis for that. So I had to write a paper for that one too. But that
Right.
had to be done during the school year.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so
What
and then
about
I took a lot of time. What's that?
at BU? Did you need to do a year's residency or?
No. So part of the reason that worked out for me, I initially talked to my superintendent about doing it because it was a 7-year program.
Right.
And back, geez, that was 10 years ago, and I started that. Wanted to make sure they understood it was not a correspondence course because that was still in the contract that you couldn't do that. But it's an online only program. So all the coursework was online for 2 years. And then
Right.
you had to go do a 1-week residency.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So I didn't have to worry about taking a sabbatical or quitting my day job or,
Right.
any of that business. So I did. Now, initially the week was during the summer. By the time I got to it, they had moved it to September. So I did have to take the 3rd week of school off at one point.
Yeah.
So that was its own kind of adventure.
Oh,
And
marching
then,
band. Right. Okay.
well, it's much of it. And like all your kids just came back literally 9 school days ago. So having
Right.
things set
Yeah.
up that like, I'm going to leave and you're going to do these things. And they're like, what are those things?
Who filled in
So,
for you
and then
while you were gone? Was it someone who
I,
knew me?
yeah, that's where I lucked out because I knew it was coming. I was able to like book somebody and,
Right.
make sure they were cleared to be a sub and have them actually run things while I was gone
Right.
and not just trust my leadership kids to do it.
No, I'm kind of
So,
looking for stuff like that to do now that I'm retired. And I got to do that
sure.
last year. My first year, I did a whole month at Portsmouth Abbey. and ran that whole program, and it was
Yeah,
great for everyone.
and I can totally see me doing that for just a hot minute. Like, I don't know that I want to be someone's semester year-long replacement, because
Right.
that's, a lot of what I'm doing now. But coming in for the day to cover while everyone's at a band festival or something, or whatever, band director's out sick, I can come in for a day and actually do something. Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, and then I had 4 years to write the dissertation, which was all online. My dissertation advisor was actually in Idaho. And then when we got to the crunch, the other two readers were from Boston. But I didn't have to fly to Idaho to meet with them every month. Like, I could just get online and chat with her once a month about what I was doing, what I should be doing, whatever. And eventually 300 short pages later, my dissertation was done. Yeah. Well, I also finished that during COVID.
Oh, how wonderful. You had nothing else to do. So.
Yeah. Well, I really lucked out because I was doing some field research and some interviews. I interviewed some students and some band directors, and I just maybe 3 months before COVID shut everything down had finished all the interviews. So while everybody was at home, I was doing transcriptions.
Right. Oh, fantastic. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, it is now.
Yeah, right, for sure. Well, congratulations on finishing that.
Thanks.
All those things are huge projects. South Hanover Community Band. How long has it been around? Tell us about this band. Roger's told me a little bit.
3 years.
Yeah, it's 3 years. My wife makes fun of me just as I finished my dissertation. Like, I think I defended in, oh no, this is while I was finishing it, because we had that first meeting over the summer.
Yep.
And that first concert happened as I was writing my final chapter and getting all that done. And my wife always gives me a hard time. She's like, heaven forbid you have a free moment.
Yeah. Right.
That just I finished, we got this kick in that summer. And there was a byline on the bottom page of the township newsletter. They're like, hey, we're looking to put together a band. If you're interested, you should email this address, which was band@southhanover.org. Yeah.
I was at that meeting.
Right. Yeah. And I'd seen it on several occasions because I live in the township, and I was like, I would like to do this, but I think I know what's going to happen if I do. I did. And we lucked out because several of those, there were 6 of us in the room that day.
Yeah.
And I think 5 of us are still there.
I believe so.
Yeah. The vast majority of the founding members are still there, and Nora and the oboe player.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's around, but didn't come back. Yeah. So, but the vast majority of us are still there. And that first summer was a lot of scrape and shuffle and giggle. I think there were 12 of us in the band.
Something like that. Yeah.
And
we
arbitrarily
too. What was the issue when you have 12? That's kind of relevant. One of them was an oboe player, which is kind of cool.
Well, no, actually, I think she played flute that concert with your daughter.
Yeah.
And then we had a lot of people. The cool part was there were only about a very small number, 10, 12, coming to rehearsals and doing it. And I was showing up every rehearsal with something else to play because I didn't know any of the musicians, didn't know what we had, instrumentation wise, ability level wise. Anyway, but then at the concert, I want to say we had 20 or 22. Yeah. Because we had all these people just kind of come out of the woodwork. I had a couple band director friends, and it was fine. We're just trying to make it work and make it happen. And a couple band director friends of mine came out of the woodwork for dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then we had our one concert middle of August, end of the summer. We did it. Yeah. See you next summer.
Yeah.
And that was great. It was fun to watch everybody kind of scavenge time, effort, music, materials, time. Well, and the building we were in was fairly new.
Yeah.
So nobody knew how to schedule the community room because there wasn't a community room to schedule previously.
Oh, so that's the best time to get in because it's not set.
Oh, yeah. Right. We have a closet now because of that.
Wow.
There's a couple different rooms. We have a whole closet all to ourselves. And we lucked out because one of the people in that founding circle was the secretary on the township board. So she was in the building almost daily. So if you called her hey, do we have the room or can we put stuff in here? She's like, yeah, I'll get you a key. Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is very reminiscent of my own experience. I started the Wakefield, we call the Wakefield Civic Band in Rhode Island. And I started that in the 80s. And I think the first couple of rehearsals and the first concert, we had 7 or 8 members, I think. We did manage to drag a couple other people in. But it was it was kind of a challenge, if I remember right. It was a challenge. Somebody said, can you put together a concert in 3 weeks? I said, okay, let's give it a shot. So we put this band together and it was a wonderful experience. It really was. The band sounded horrible. but they had great spirit. You know what I mean? They really did. They great spirit,
Yeah.
and from then, and the band is still in existence.
Oh yeah, it's like
now it's
75 or 80
wonderful.
members.
Yeah,
now.
they're a big band now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But that first one, you just if you needed a concert that quick, they used to have music -1, so you could have just got like music -7 or something. Yeah, and it would have
Right.
I know.
it would have worked just right.
But it was a wonderful challenge, and we had weird instrumentation. It was all over the place, but we managed to make it work. And if nothing else, we just had a wonderful experience trying to make music. But it was all very lively and wonderfully accepted. You know what I mean? So,
well, now that you have a
Yeah.
closet, what are you going to put in it?
Well, I was going to say, in relation to your point, like my metric for success at that first concert was we played pretty okay, but first of all, the concert was moved. I'll talk about this later. The concert was moved inside at the last minute.
Yeah.
And we had more people in the audience than we did in the band.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which,
Yeah.
the township
big.
supervisor was getting up to introduce us, and I'm standing off to the side, and I'm just counting people in the audience. I was like, if we can just get more people here, that means everybody in the band brought at least one person.
Right.
And then one of them brought a friend winning.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
And if they happen to be holding cases, that's good for the next rehearsal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one quick thing I got to share with you, and I'll do it real fast.
Yeah.
We used to do
Sure.
these, it built up. We did these concerts, and we'd play for a while, and then we'd take a little break, and then we'd play it again. And during the break time, we thought, well, it'd be kind of fun to fill it in. That was the most interesting thing, was the things that people came up with. We had one guy that was very good at Casey at the bat, so he'd recite Casey at the bat. And then and then we had a guy
Amazing.
that played trumpet. I don't hold it against you. These trumpet players are weird. But anyway, he played the saw. So his wife would accompany on the piano,
the musical
and
saw.
he'd play the saw. And everyone, you could almost watch everyone lean as he's leaning into notes,
Right.
Everybody leaning into it, you know what I mean? But
The 19th century theremin.
Yeah.
it was really neat because
Right.
it was
Exactly.
it was so fun, small community. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
fun hometown stuff.
I was going to say Amish theremin. The Amish theremin.
Experiment, right.
Yeah, put it that way.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
Wait-
Oh, that's
Wakefield-
awesome. So you had a halftime show
Yeah,
at a music concert.
we had a halftime show at a music concert.
They could have
yeah.
played football,
Yeah.
which is the way it should
Football
be.
might have broken out. Yeah, yeah,
That's good
Wakefield's
stuff.
a typical New England town.
yeah. Right.
Now
Yeah.
you still perform right in that same facility where you rehearse, or
We do.
We got a nice bandshell.
Yeah.
There's a beautiful bandshell facing the building, but the building's on a hill. So bring a blanket, you sit on the side of a hill, there's no bad seats.
perfect?
Wow.
Yeah.
Really
nice.
terrific area to play.
Yeah.
Great
Right.
acoustics. Yeah.
Cool.
And
How many
we-
concerts are you
in-
doing?
In August, the two bands that Dr. Richardson conducts, we get together and do a combined concert. We're over
That's right.
100 musicians in that.
Right.
Oh, that's
It is
cool.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a big band.
Yeah.
I'm glad they were smart when they made the band shell, the concrete pads flat with the ground. It's not raised up,
Right.
which makes sense because the audience is on a hill. But
Yeah.
we're at the point now where the shell's full and we have that front line of the arc is on the grass because we need the room in the back to fit everybody else.
Right.
Well,
Oh,
the
yeah,
last
well-
guest we had on is building a new band show. It's like $2 million.
Yeah, they're
Up
trying
in
to raise the
Marquette,
money.
Michigan. Yeah, it's fantastic with dressing rooms and bathrooms and stuff. Like
Right.
the whole
That's
yard.
an indoor facility, yeah, or something.
Yeah. I just
Well, it's
saw
right
that.
on Lake Superior. You need to be able to go in just to thaw out during the summer concert.
Yeah.
It is.
In the intermission. Yes.
Oh yeah.
While the musical saw is on, you're warming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long has the shell been there? Was it there when you started, or?
Yeah, well, the whole park where the township building that we play in is new. So you pull in and there's a new fire station, and then you move forward a little bit. There's a playground, a walking path, and whatever. And then at the end, there is the township building. And then behind the township building is this sound shell they put in maybe a year or two after the township building was finished.
Wow.
So the whole thing is that whole situation is like a new municipal park township seat area. So the only downside is the amphitheater itself is behind the building. So most people, unless they've been, you're not going to drive by and see it.
Right.
But it is beside the pickleball courts.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Now
So
we're
if
talking.
they're like,
wow, we got
right now, you're like, oh, it's behind the pickleball. And I was like, oh, I know where the pickleball is. Well,
Yep.
it's right there. Yeah.
There you go. Very good.
But the view's fantastic for the audience. If you look past the sound shell, it looks over all of Hershey and kind of a little bit of Hummelstown. So if the music's not great, the view's fantastic. We do fireworks.
Yeah, fireworks.
Because you can see Hershey Park from there. So the fireworks at Hershey Park, we can sit there, much better parking, and watch the fireworks from on top of the valley, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, the fireworks at the park.
Great place.
Yeah.
So the township doesn't have to pay for the fireworks. They just use the park's fireworks. This is who's planned all of this? This is great planning.
Yes. Yeah.
This guys, Pennsylvania, why do they move from there? Rhode Island doesn't do so well at times.
No, well,
with that kind of planning. Yeah. What's the funding? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All they need is in Rhode Island. All they need is to do fireworks in Providence, and everybody can see it.
No.
Very small state.
Very small, very flat.
It takes over an hour to get from some places to other places in the state. So it doesn't look the same when you're here as on the map. And we actually have different climate zones, because when you're right on a large body of water and the inner part of the state is elevated. So you have elevation off the shoreline, right on the shoreline is affected by the water, and then there's all the stuff in between. So there are climate zones, and there's no school Foster Gloucester. You probably remember that, Roger, right? Yeah. So the northwest corner of the state is
they always get whacked. Yeah.
So all the schools are closed there too,
and they close that area.
Yeah, that's great. How do you do funding for the band?
We're still running it on a shoestring. So the lady that had worked at the township building that got it all set up, we have like $500 through Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
And that gets us most of the music that if we need to buy new music, that usually gets it for us. I was allowed by my school to loan music to the band, so that's come in handy on occasion. Like most bands, I found there are people that if you can find one for $50, we'll buy it for you. A Score Angel. The township can pick up the slack. No one's getting paid there. We're organizing rehearsals, and the community room rental is non-existent. That's also important.
Yeah.
So we get to use
that's
that
fantastic.
Yeah. Community room is free. If we need to use the bandshell, we don't have to pay rentals for that. We've branched out to playing at a retirement home, which is next door to the township building.
Right.
And they're happy to have us there. And one of the concerts we do a free will offering, so we get a couple bucks from there, and we usually just turn around and spend that because we don't even have a bank account.
Oh, okay. That's very cool. So, Roger, is this the band that you need some of my music for?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. So what I discovered is going slowly because I started doing it, and I need some more space on my computer to pull that off. Oh. But I'll get it to you during the spring, and it's probably all the standard stuff that we've played, Keith. So it should work well. Like right now, we're doing Overture in B flat, Giovannini. So that'll be something that'll come your way because I'm using it, and that'll be the last time we'll play it for a while. And then also, some of Kentucky 1800, those kind of the Grundmans.
Right. No, I saw the list. That's a solid list to rep.
Yeah. So it'll be the ones that I have all the parts for. When I'll get you those set of parts, and then I'm digitizing these in case we need some more. But most of them are double sets of parts, so I might as well clear the space in my folder. So I'm happy to do that. Let's see.
Awesome.
So that music library and other sources. So what about new members? How do you get new members? How are you growing the band?
Word of mouth.
There you go.
Word of mouth. Yeah. Every time I see somebody, I ask, "Do you play an instrument?"
Yeah. There you go.
If they play a wind instrument, anything that would fit into a band, I offer them, come and play.
You can put on some raggy clothes and stand at a really busy intersection in the morning and in the afternoon. And instead of saying, "Give me money," say, "Join the band."
I put the cup out. Yep. Give me money. We need it.
No, don't do that. Just to join the band. That would really shock people. That would be kind of funny because it's always, like I'm a veteran, disabled veteran and everything else. And say, no, don't give me money. Join the band.
But I could use a pocket trumpet, and I'm so broke I couldn't even get a full size one.
Hand out random mouthpieces.
There you go. Yeah, right.
One of our other questions is, how do you deal with members of the band? Who plays what, where, and how? How do you do auditions, seating? How do you work that?
Right. We haven't. I don't know that we've really had to cross that bridge yet. We're just getting to a point where, like, you could say the flute section's full or the trumpet section is full. And even at that point, most people are coming in knowing You know, Roger's had some experience playing, so he would like to play first because he knows he can. But there's also, we just had a guy join a couple years ago that got his horn off the shelf for the first time in 15 years, and he knows he should not play first. So, but now he's playing second because he's been playing for a couple years, and then someone else is new and they're going to play third. So a lot of it is self-sorted at this point. Might get to that point eventually, but I'm also keenly aware that we'll run into, but I've always sat here.
Yeah, right.
You know, so until you get like a powerhouse come in that, you know, well, actually, this is what happens. We get some college kids that are playing regularly in college and are home for the summer.
Yeah.
And again, everyone's usually willing to defer to them that,
Sure.
yeah, like, oh, you're going to play first. And even then, if we don't need them or something, I might politely ask them, like, would you mind playing second? Because we need some help there. And these people can handle first. And usually they're just happy to come and, you know, play over the summer for fun, and they're not going to lose any sleep over it.
Right.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they're in a great shape for building. I mean, it sounds like it's up and running and doing well. That the leadership that you're teaching everyone else sounds like you have a good chunk of that yourself. Thank goodness we want good leaders teaching leadership. That's not always the case.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
As my research has shown. Yeah. No,
Yes,
I talk about that a little bit, different kinds of leadership, and some are leadership in name only. If I could revisit building membership for a minute, his daughter's been great. You know, she plays and very well,
that's
I might add.
right.
Right. But there's a home for children, the Milton Hershey home.
We should talk about that. Yeah.
Literally right across the street. And this
Fantastic.
year she's got one of the arts homes. So a lot of her kids play.
Yeah.
In appearance. I just saw Fish at County Band last week. One of the kids in the band was like, "Hey, Dr. R." And this middle schooler was like, and it was his nickname's Fish. But he was in the band this summer. He played with his daughter and Moish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, a lot of those people are starting to show up.
A trumpet player come in, Didi.
Right.
Little tiny guy, but boy, he can blow the horn.
Sure. So generally, I'm not trying to poach kids, because a lot of middle school and high school kids around here have lots of opportunities to play.
Right.
And I'm not interested in generating friction with their directors, like, I need them at community band practice when they should be at the county band festival or whatever.
Right.
But if, for example, our librarian plays bass clarinet, and her daughter is a fantastic horn player. And she happens to be in my high school band now as a freshman, but has been playing for 2 years. I'm not going to tell her she can't be there if her mom's going to play in the band too. But I'm also not actively recruiting my day job kids to come on out. But I do have some alums that play with us because they heard about it and whatever. So
I'm thinking if mom was a lousy bass clarinet player and her daughter's a killer horn player, she stays in the band, right? I guess that's
sure. Well, she's also a killer librarian.
Oh wow!
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
That's
another thread. You know, the people that are have a good
that.
librarian. That is golden.
Absolutely.
All right, so we have the questions we ask everyone. So we'll do it one at a time. You guys could take turns in answering. What was your most memorable experience with the community music ensemble throughout your whole life?
Mine was the fact I went in there wanting to play second trumpet. And there was no way anybody would let me play second trumpet.
Okay.
I kept getting the first folder and the first parts, and I'm saying, geez, you know, I'm old. Go easy on the lip, but no, first trumpet. I'm in a second community band, which doesn't conflict with the first one. It helps keep my chops up over the winter because they rehearse all year long.
Yeah.
Once again, first trumpet. We need the help there.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, but no, it's not a problem. It keeps the mouth going. You know.
Let's give them a plug. It's the Community Band, right? Is the name of it? I think you said.
It's in Swatara Township.
Okay.
But it's the Community Band.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep,
wow. How cool is that?
Yeah.
What about you, Keith?
The level of music we play there is not as complicated as in the South Hanover Band.
Okay.
That has regular arrangements. The ones there were junior high, early high school level.
Right. Okay.
But it's still fun to play, and it helps keeps the chops up.
So it's not Maynard Ferguson. So you could still cut that with.
No. It's not. Although it goes over D over high C.
Wow.
It gets up there.
Yeah. Now we're talking. All right, Keith. What was the one from your illustrious career? You know, most memorable.
Well, yeah, because at South, I'll go with our first concert. We talked about that earlier. all summer building up to this, getting people in, talking to people, trying to get email addresses and people that didn't have email addresses but wanted to be in it, and finally the night of the concerts here, I've done, I just finished band camp and had a parent show, and like 2 days later, maybe a week later, we have this coming up, and then the next week school's getting like just in the pipeline. The day of the concert, this massive thunderstorm rolls through. So I'm on the phone all day trying to figure out, like, are we going inside or not? Yes, we're going inside. What does that look like? I don't know. Let's figure it out. And then I live like 5 minutes from the bandshell. Between my house and the bandshell, I had 3 people call me to tell me they weren't coming because a tree fell on their house, or the road was closed, or their house didn't have power. And I'm going to this concert like, this is going to happen, right? And it did. Like I said, there were more people there in this weather than were in the band. And enough of the band showed up. We were able to do what we needed to do, and they played well. And I want to say the sun was shining when we were done, but the weather was so gross.
Birds
but
came in, the doves.
Right. Yeah. Like it was just like a whole summer of trying to make it work. And even to get it across the line, the weather was like, you thought you had this. But it was a perfectly fine concert, and we had people there to see it. And we're still here 3 or 4 years later. So, but that was the hump to get over to make it happen.
Community bands tend to recover, like they step up to the plate and get through things better than school bands, like whatever can go wrong will go wrong in school with the younger kids. But what I find with the adults, they first of all, they get scared. So they go home and practice, like right before the concert. And then they come back after the dress rehearsal and they sound a lot better, like amazing. Yeah, it's
absolutely
incredible.
amazing.
How'd that happen?
Who are these people? Maybe because you put on nicer clothes, or the uniform shirt. Yeah. All right. And then what was that big challenge with an ensemble? How was it overcome? We kind of covered that.
Yeah, we kind of
like just getting it started.
Yeah.
So we could just jump to the last one.
Yeah, well, we like to ask, what are your thoughts on what's the future of community bands? What do you see happening, especially with the young people so wrapped up in AI and their entertainments are found elsewhere and things? What are your thoughts? Is it what's the future of?
Can I tack on one more?
Yeah, go for it.
Since COVID, right? Particularly in like in the school bands and the community bands, have you recovered? We could just wrap that all up. It might be like what's the near future and what is the distant future?
Well, the near future is you'll have community bands because the people that used to play when they were in school finally have more time on their hands because the kids have grown up and they've gone out and they're alone in the house with nothing to do, and they will want to play again. And the kids that grow up will do the same thing. It's going to be a cycle. Everybody will take that time off in the middle and raise their family. Then the parents will go in the band. The family will go out, learn an instrument in school. They will have the band because, hey, my dad did this when he was in high school, And after he got out of high school, when he retired, he went into this band and it sounded great. I want to do that when I get old. Yeah. So, it will build on itself.
Okay, that's cool. What do you think, Keith?
Near term, I would agree. Kids that like to be in band are going to find a way to be in band. I think grand scheme of things, community band has a PR issue in that people don't know about them. And I am guilty of that. I've been teaching high school band in the greater Harrisburg area for the better part of 25 years. And I've learned more about community bands around here in the last 5 than I did in the previous 20. Right. That, that they exist, that they're here, that they're looking for people. There are varying degrees of involvement, like the things that we do, the rep we play, the kind of concert we have in my Lebanon band are different than what we do at South Hanover, and that is fine. But that might make a difference to the person looking for a place to play. Right. Same thing for New Cumberland down the road or Emmetsville down the road from there. When I first started doing this, like a nerd, I was doing my research and I discovered there's a community band at almost every exit on Interstate 81 between where we are in Hummelstown and Hagerstown, Maryland.
Right.
Right. Yeah, but see, as a high school band director, I don't understand how we're not doing a better job of telling our alumni, if you would like to continue to play in college or not, here are some places right here now that you can go and show up and it makes the magic happen. And it's not as intense maybe as it is in high school. And that probably will be okay because you're not going to have 40 minutes every day to get ready for that concert. But I was just talking to someone about this earlier today. I feel like as band directors, we're giving kids this present and they open it and they're like, cool. And then they just leave it under the Christmas tree.
Yeah, right.
That they can go and play and do things. and they don't. And I get it. When you go to college, you might have other things going on. I think Roger raises a good point that, later you can come back to it. And in many cases you can, and it's not a big deal.
Right.
I haven't touched my horn in 10 years. I have a flute player that's 96 in my other band, and she's doing okay. So I'm sure if you pick your horn up after 10 whole years,
you're 25.
Right. Yeah. Like it's going to be okay. But I think that's going to be, I hear what you say about AI. I have 2 kids, 12 and 14. I've worked in high schools my whole life. I've seen what phones have done to change the way the world works.
Right.
And that's going to be a hurdle. Don't get me wrong. Getting kids out of the screen to interact with people is still going to be a thing. But I think just knowing that they're out there and that's something you can do as part of who you are and what you do is a big hurdle.
Yeah, to go with what Roger was saying.
Surmountable, but a hurdle. No, that's just surmountable, but a hurdle.
So something I forgot to do, I'm a Pennsylvania boy. And when you're talking about intensity in bands, there's, of course, the Allentown Band.
Right.
Maybe the oldest. And that's very intense. That's an incredible band.
Sure.
Another really good one, and I don't know what its status is now. I grew up in Shamokin, going down the road a little ways from there to Colcracken.
Sure.
And every Sunday night, we'd go to the back of the post office, and on the loading dock, that's where the band would set up. And that was where the concerts were of the Shamokin Our Band, O-U-R Band.
Every once in a while, they'd have a delivery in the middle of everything.
No,
that's all right. It was cool.
But like
delivering good times and packages since 1914.
Since my earliest memory was going to those concerts, and that seed was planted. So the more you get to your concerts, the more seeds you're planting for later on. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, this is a wonderful visit.
Oh, yeah. You guys are great. Very good. Yeah.
We'll have to do another episode about the other band or something like that. We'll check in a couple of years and see how things are still going. We certainly wish you well, and hopefully I'll get some music your way. And
we'll have to do an exchange concert with these guys. That would be fun.
Why not?
Huh?
A trip, yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hershey Park?
Yeah.
We had a great amusement park here in the state, and it's closed. So
Rocky Point.
Yeah. Rocky Point.
Rocky
Would
Point.
have been a great exchange. But there is Boston nearby and everything else. So that might work out. All right. Cool. So there's an idea. Very good. Thanks. We end all of our episodes the same way. So you're welcome to join us and say, just keep on playing.